Hello everyone! We will present any storyline that makes you more excited and passionate. This story tells of ferocious monsters that suddenly appear to slaughter humanity without mercy until they destroy 95% of the human population on Earth. Starring Anthony Mackie, Maddie Hassan and Morena Baccarin. Let's go straight into the storyline entitled Elevation. One day suddenly strange holes appeared from the ground. From inside the holes emerged terrible creatures called creepers, who viciously slaughtered humanity. In just a month, Creeper managed to kill 95% of the human population on Earth. These creatures have very thick scales that even gunfire cannot penetrate them. However, there is one weakness that Creeper has, namely that the creatures strangely stop chasing humans after reaching an altitude of 8,000 feet. This makes many survivors flock to the highlands and create colonies at altitudes above 8,000 feet to survive the Creeper's pursuit. 3 years after the appearance of the Creeper, one day in a settlement located on the Colorado mountains, a small child named Hunter alone went past the safety line below an altitude of 8,000 feet. Hunter then sat on the rocks and looked out at the settlement located on the hill next to him. From a distance he saw children playing. While Hunter was observing, suddenly from a distance Hunter heard the sound of birds flying. That was a sign of the Creeper approaching. Hunter immediately ran. Hunter was finally saved because he managed to get back past the safety line before the Creeper came closer. Hunter then walked home. Seeing Hunter walking alone, Hunter's father named Will realized that Hunter had just gone down the hill alone. Will scolded Hunter, telling him not to do that again, because it was very dangerous. Will didn't want to lose his son because Hunter was the only family member he had, after his wife died in a fight with the Creeper 1 year ago while going down the hill. The next day, Will and a woman named Katie, who was his late wife's best friend, were hunting deer. Here Will said that he was worried because Hunter had started to dare to go down the safety line alone. Katie said that it was natural. Hunter must be lonely because here he is the only child in the settlement, because Hunter has no friends to play with. After getting the prey, they both returned to the settlement. In the settlement, Will saw his neighbor named Nina testing the bullets she shot at the Creeper scales. According to reports, Nina is a scientist. She is trying to find a way for her bullets to penetrate the Creeper's scales. However, Nina was ostracized by the local residents because of an incident 1 year ago. At that time, Nina invited several people to go down to the city, including Will's wife. However, it ended in disaster. Only Nina managed to return safely. That night, Hunter's asthma relapsed. This disease worsens because oxygen levels in the mountains will decrease drastically at night. Seeing his son having difficulty breathing, Will immediately took an oxygen filter to help Hunter breathe. It turned out to be the last oxygen filter he had. Will had no choice but to go to the city to find another oxygen filter, otherwise Hunter could die. Will then open the map to find a safe way to the hospital in the city. The next day, Will told Hunter that he planned to go down to the city to look for an oxygen filter. Hearing this, Hunter of course forbade Will to do it because it was very dangerous. But they had no other choice. The following nights Hunter's illness relapsed. Because the oxygen filter had run out, Will was forced to inject Hunter for temporary relief. Will, who was dizzy and didn't know what else to do, finally asked for help from Nina, who had gone down to the city and faced Creeper directly. Will actually hated Nina because a year ago Will's wife died because she went with Nina to the city. But Will had no other choice. After Nina found out about Will's plan to go down to the city, Nina said that Will would definitely die because Riper couldn't be killed. But if Will didn't go down to the city, his son could die. Nina then said that there was no safe way to the city. She had checked every route on the map to get to the city. They had to go down the hill many times and it was very dangerous. Will begged Nina to help him. He had to go to the hospital to get an oxygen filter. Will said that he had heard that the reason Nina went down to the city 1 year ago was because she almost found a way to defeat Creeper. If Nina wanted to help him, Will would help Nina go to her laboratory to get the equipment she needed. Will then told her that he knew a safe route to the city. They would only go down the hill twice. Next they will pass through the mining tunnel path. Will used to work in the mine, so he knows all the ins and outs of the underground mining tunnel that crosses the mountains. That night after Will left, Nina pondered. Nina finally decided to go with Will because Nina didn't want the sacrifices made by her friends 1 year ago to be in vain. Nina intended to complete her research. She had to find a way to defeat the creeper. The next day, Will went to the store to buy weapons to prepare to go down to the city. Suddenly, Katie came to the store and said that she also wanted to come. Will of course forbade her because this mission was very dangerous. But Katie said that she was sick of hiding all the time. Sooner or later they would definitely face the creeper. Will was forced to let Katie come with him. Will and Katie then walked to meet Nina, who was waiting in front of the store. Seeing Katie joining this mission, Nina said that this was a suicide mission. Was Katie sure she still wanted to join? Katie said that she still wanted to join. The three of them began their journey to the city. The first route they had to pass was the cable car ride. Will had a feeling that the cable car ride must have backup electricity that could move the cable car. Before crossing the safety line, Nina saw the creeper tracking device she had created. According to Nina's observations, the creeper emitted very strong electromagnetic waves. If a creeper approached, the compass needle on the tracking device would move. After observing her tracking device for a moment, Nina invited the others to continue walking because there were no signs of creeper nearby. In the middle of their journey, they then found an abandoned military car. Will immediately checked the cars. Here Will found flare ammunition and a grenade launcher, while Nina took a piece of creeper scales lying on the ground. The three of them then continued their journey. In short, they finally arrived at the cable car station area. Suddenly Nina's tracking device detected the movement of creeper approaching. Nina said that they would not survive if they ran up the hill. Will decided to try to activate the cable car engine so they could get to the top quickly, while Katie, who was panicking, immediately ran inside the station. Will tried to turn on the cable car but always failed. Meanwhile outside, Creeper was seen approaching Katie, who was scared, then shot Creeper using a grenade launcher. Katie was surprised to see Creeper fine even though he had just been hit by a grenade explosion. Katie tried to shoot the grenade once more, but it was still in vain. Inside the station, Will then found a spare battery. He finally managed to turn on the cable car. Will and Nina immediately boarded one of the cable cars to go up. In front of Katie climbed a pole to join Will and Nina. From above, Nina tried to shoot the creeper who was chasing them. Katie then jumped. Luckily, Will managed to grab her when they were about to reach an altitude of 8,000 feet. Suddenly, the creeper shook the train rope hard, causing Will, Nina, and Katie to fall. The three of them immediately ran helter-skelter towards the safety line. They finally managed to cross the safety line just before the creeper attacked. That night, Will, Nina, and Katie decided to spend the night at the resort there. Katie and Will looked shocked after facing the creeper directly this afternoon. Seeing the creeper, who was very fierce and immune to bullets, Katie assumed that the creeper was the apex predator on the new Earth. However, Nina disagreed. Previously, Nina discovered the fact that the creeper continued to slaughter humans day and night. The creature seemed to never rest, as if it was created only to kill humans. According to Nina, predators will only kill to find food, but creepers will not. They seem to be tasked with eliminating humans from the face of the earth. That night, Will remembered the last moments before his wife died. At that time, Will did not agree if his wife went to the city with Nina, but his wife was still adamant about going. His wife said that one day they would also run out of oxygen filters for Hunter. His wife wanted to fight to help Nina find a way to defeat the creeper. She didn't want to keep hiding. The next day, Will and the others finally arrived at the mine at an altitude of 8,900 feet. To reach the city, they had to go through a mine tunnel. Will said that the other end of the tunnel was also at an altitude of 8,000 feet, so they would be safe. But Nina was not sure. Maybe in the middle of the tunnel turned down so that it took them below a safe altitude. Hearing this, Will just kept quiet. It turned out to be true that in the middle of the tunnel they would go down the stairs and be below 8,000 feet. For several hundred meters, Will tried to convince them that this tunnel was the safest route to the city. Besides, there was Nina's tracking device. They would know if there was a creeper coming closer in the tunnel. But Nina said that her tracking device would not work in the tunnel. In addition, The creeper could see in the dark. Nina then told him that the creeper tracked humans through CO2 gas exhaled by humans. In the tunnel later, the creeper would definitely easily track their whereabouts. However, because there was no other way, the three of them finally walked into the tunnel. In the tunnel, it turned out that Nina's tracking device did not work. Long story short, the three of them finally arrived at the end of the tunnel, but it turned out that the exit at the end of the tunnel was tightly closed. Will also said that they were forced to go through another route below. That means they have to go down through the tunnel below the very dangerous safe line. Because they couldn't go back again, the three of them were forced to go down the tunnel. They then walked very carefully through the tunnel. Suddenly Katie heard a strange sound from behind. It turned out that it was the sound of the creeper approaching. They immediately ran looking for a hiding place. Katie and Will tried to shoot the creature, but in vain. The three of them then entered a small gap to hide. They then turned off the flashlight and tried to hold their breath so that the creeper would think they had left. The creeper's tentacles then entered the gap to check. Because the creeper didn't leave, Will then lit a flare to distract him. Katie then found a hole out. Katie, who panicked, immediately got out of the hole. It turned out that outside the hole there was already a creeper ready to prey on her. The creeper then stabbed Katie and took her away. Will tried to help, but it was too late. Nina then saw the stairs in front of them. Will and Nina finally managed to survive after climbing the stairs. Will and Nina were very shocked by Katie's death just now. Will and Nina then found a car that looked good in the yard of a cottage. After checking, it turned out that the car could still function even though the tires were thin. That night, Will and Nina spent the night at the cottage. Here Will asked if Nina had really found a way to defeat the creeper. Nina also said that she had a theory about why the creeper's skin was so strong and could not be penetrated by bullets, namely because the creeper's skin had an electromagnetic charge. Nina argued that if a bullet was coated with a special mineral and then shot into the creeper's body, it could trigger a reaction that caused a great explosion to destroy the creeper instantly. Although this has not been fully proven. However, Nina will not give up until she finds a way to defeat the creeper. Hearing this, Will was initially angry because it turned out that Nina herself had never proven it. However, they still had to try even though the chances were very small because Will did not want their struggle to be in vain. The next day, Will and Nina continued their journey by car to the hospital. As soon as they arrived at the hospital, Will and Nina immediately went in while preparing their weapons for the worst. They then went into the medicine room. After searching for a while, Will did not find a single oxygen filter. There, Will then invited Nina to the operating room to look for an oxygen filter. They both then heard the sound of creeper entering the hospital. After a long time searching, Will finally managed to find the oxygen he was looking for. Will rushed because creeper was getting closer. When they were about to leave, suddenly creeper came attacking. Will and Nina, who panicked, tried to go upstairs. It turned out that creeper's tentacles then managed to hold Will. Nina immediately took an axe to attack the tentacles and free Will. Seeing an oxygen cylinder, Will had an idea. He then told Nina to hide. When creeper started to approach, Will shot the oxygen cylinder until it exploded, making creeper bounce out until it didn't move anymore. Nina then invited Will to rush to her laboratory to test her theory before the creeper below got back up. They immediately stepped on the gas towards the laboratory, and sure enough, the creeper who had just been hit by the explosion was still alive. Long story short, Will and Nina finally arrived at the laboratory in question. Nina then began to mix the chemicals to be smeared on the bullets. Here Will accidentally saw a photo of Nina and her family. Nina also said that she used to have 2 children and a husband who loved her, but in the past he was too busy in the lab that he neglected his family. Nina was very regretful and apologized for causing Will's wife to die. Will said that he actually blamed Nina because he wanted to cover up his guilt. Will knew that sooner or later his wife would leave anyway. After finishing smearing the bullet, Nina then tested it by shooting the bullet on the side of the creeper she was carrying. It turned out that nothing happened. Nina's theory was not proven. Nina then told Will to hurry back to the settlement because her child really needed an oxygen filter. while Nina herself would remain in the laboratory to find another chemical concoction. Initially Will refused because he didn't want to leave Nina alone, but Nina kept insisting. Nina promised that if her theory proved successful she would follow Will using another car in the parking lot. Nina said that if Will stayed here with her then the worst possibility was that they would both die in vain. Finally Will rushed off leaving Nina alone. A few moments later Nina was still trying to find the right concoction, even though she kept failing. Suddenly Nina's tracking device detected the movement of the approaching creeper. Meanwhile, Will continued to speed towards the Colorado mountains. In the laboratory Nina then saw a bottle of battery that could conduct electricity. Nina then mixed the battery with cobalt and smeared it on the bullet. From behind the creeper was seen walking towards Nina. Nina immediately fired her experimental bullet at the approaching creeper. Elsewhere, when almost at the safety line, the tire of the car Will was riding exploded and rolled over. After Will regained consciousness, Will immediately ran up the mountains because he saw a creeper approaching. However, Will was surrounded by 3 creepers. Will tried to shoot all the creepers that surrounded him, but in vain. Will finally gave up. Suddenly one of the creepers exploded strangely. It turned out to be Nina, who had succeeded in mixing bullets that could explode the creeper. Nina immediately killed all the creepers there. Will was then shocked after seeing the creeper's corpse. It turned out that the creeper was not a living creature but a robot. It turned out that Nina's theory was correct, that the creeper was not a predator but a killing machine. Nina also said that the creeper must have been programmed to hunt humans. Nina argued that there was another entity that deliberately sent the creeper to Earth to destroy humans. Will and Nina finally returned to the settlement safely. Nina then gave news to the colonies in the other hills that she had succeeded in finding a way to defeat the creeper via radio transmission. Nina tells how to make bullets that can destroy creepers. Since that day, the surviving humans finally began to dare to go down the mountain to hunt down the creepers that were roaming around. One night Nina showed Will that she saw some strange lights in the sky. It must be an alien ship that was watching the Earth. And that's the end of the storyline of this Elevation movie, guys. Hopefully you are entertained. Write your criticisms and suggestions in the comments column. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in our next content. Bye.